Hi friends, today I wanted to do a video about bringing children to Epcot, or should you skip Epcot? So this is kind of a follow-up to my last video where I talked about Hollywood Studios. And I was thinking after I did that one that I do also have quite a few questions from my clients about whether or not they should skip Epcot or Hollywood Studios, and sometimes even Animal Kingdom, because they say they have zoos at home with the ages of their kids or just due to time constraints. So I thought I would go through kind of like how I did with Hollywood Studios. Hopefully I'm a little bit better prepared for this one, and tell you the different rides and attractions and shows and things like that at Epcot, and give you my opinion about which ones are suitable for small children. And by small children, I'm kind of thinking maybe 4, 5 to 7. So let's get started. So the rides, the actual rides at Epcot are Frozen Ever After, the Grand Fiesta Tour starring the Three Caballeros, Journey into Imagination with Figment, The Seas with Nemo and Friends, Living with the Land, my personal favorite, Soarin', Spaceship Earth, Ellen's Energy Adventure, Mission Space, and Test Track. So of these, which rides would be suitable for small children? So the following rides do not have any height requirements at all, meaning you would be able to bring on a baby. You could, carry your baby if you wanted to. So Frozen Ever After, that's a boat ride. Very slow, and obviously Frozen is not going to be an adult ride. The Grand Fiesta Tour starring the Three Caballeros. Again, it's a slow boat ride that is in Mexico, and it's actually inside the pyramid in Mexico, and you can see the rest. Really, it's a very, very cool environment. I liked the old ride better, but this one is definitely more suitable for children, where you have Donald Duck and his nephews, which are the Three Caballeros, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, going through Mexico. So totally appropriate for kids. Journey into Imagination with Figment. Very slow moving vehicle, again, totally for small children. The Seas with Nemo and Friends. And all of these are for all ages. And if you remember, I had mentioned in a previous video, the whole reason that Walt Disney created Disney World was because he was tired of going to an amusement park and just sitting by and watching his daughter do things and have all the fun, and he wanted to be able to do those things with her. So all of these things adults can do too. I have not seen, there might be, I'm trying to think, I have never seen anything where they have a maximum height or age at Disney World. Now there might be something like a little kid slide at, like Typhoon Lagoon or something like that, but all of these, adults and kids alike. So The Seas with Nemo and Friends. Now, obviously Finding Nemo, it's a slow moving, they call it a clam mobile, you're in a big clam. Totally for kids. It's really, really impressive. The technology is really impressive for adults too. So my husband and I really like this. And they have the Finding Nemo characters projected, and it looks like let me back up. They have the Finding Nemo characters projected on the big aquarium wall, and then there are actual fish swimming in the aquarium. But the way they do it, they look so real, like they're actually in there. It's so impressive. So that kind of thing is impressive to adults, whereas the kids just like the Finding Nemo characters. So again, for all ages. Living with the Land. Now this one, it kind of goes through and shows interesting the way they're growing plants. I loved this my entire life. You're in a very slow moving boat. There are things to look at. So it might not necessarily keep the interest of a small child for a really long time, but it's not like dark or scary or anything. And depending on the kid, it's different. There's a lot of fun things to look at. So I liked it my entire life, but I was kind of born old, so I don't know. I might be weird in that one, but any height can ride that one as well. Okay, so then Spaceship Earth. There is no height requirement for that. This is another one where it might not be interesting for a small child because it's history. It's kind of a learning thing, but there are a lot of things to look at. There's nothing really loud, I don't think. There are some parts that are louder than others, but I don't think there's anything. I have very sensitive ears, and I've never had to like cover my ears or anything on that ride. It's a little dark. It's never pitch black though. But it is a little bit dark. But again, the history part might not interest small kids, but there are a lot of things to look at. So I think that they would absolutely enjoy it. And if I remember, I will try to find the length of these rides and list that as well as I'm saying them, because I think that's really helpful too. Because, when I say something like Spaceship Earth or Living with the Land, where it might not be super interesting, well, if it's something like 5 or 10 minutes, yes, you can hold the attention of a 5-year-old, but if it's like an hour, which neither of them are, that would be a lot different. So I'll try and remember to find those times for you. And then Ellen's Energy Adventure. That is the last one that does not have a height requirement. Now, Ellen's Energy Adventure, this is another one I liked my entire life. Since I remember going to Disney World when I was probably 4 years old, and there was nothing that I was afraid of that I couldn't go on. And this it wasn't Ellen's Energy Adventure then, I think it was Universe of Energy then. So the Ellen part wasn't in there, but the rest of it was, and I was never afraid of it, never didn't want to ride. So the beginning and end, I don't think would hold the attraction of a small child. The middle part, where they have big dinosaurs, would. That being said, it's pretty dark. Again, it's never completely 100% pitch black, but it is dark. And it is pretty loud when they have like the dinosaurs making noise and stuff. But if your child can handle that, then I think it would be a great ride. Depending on, like I said, if they can handle the beginning and end. This one is by far the longest. I want to say it's like somewhere between 37 and 45 minutes. So it is longer, but it is a great option if it is about to rain, because usually when you come out, then the Florida rainstorms have passed. Okay, so now for the rides that have height requirements. So there is Soarin', which the minimum height requirement is 40 inches or 102 centimeters. I don't think it is scary. It is dark like a movie theater, but no darker. You're in front of a huge screen, so it's still pretty bright. It isn't really loud, where I don't think children would be afraid of the noises. What you're watching isn't scary by any means. You're sitting in a hang glider and moving. So it's like kind of small drops, but it's not at all like a roller coaster where you're, not at all like that. You have you're strapped in with an airplane style seatbelt. So if that kind of gives you a concept of how wild the ride is, it obviously isn't too bad. Otherwise they would have like a harness or something to that effect. So I think, again, for me, when I was 40 inches tall, I would not have had a problem riding Soarin'. Test Track is another one that's 40 inches tall or 102 centimeters. Now this one is a little bit scarier, I would say, because you're in a race car and you're going pretty fast and there's starts and stops, and I feel like it's a little bit louder when you're trying to swerve to avoid hitting an oncoming semi. But yeah, so I think in terms of if a child would be scared, they would be way more likely to be scared on Test Track than Soarin'. And then lastly is Mission Space. Now this one has a height requirement of 44 inches or 113 centimeters. I have never ridden this one because I'm very prone to motion sickness. They have Mission Space and Mission Space Light, and the Mission Space Light does not spin, but the idea is you are in a rocket and going off into space, and it's obviously it's a simulator. So that one, 44 inches is a minimum height requirement. So I can't say for sure, but I think it would probably be, that's one of the scarier ones, I think, put it that way. Okay, so aside from the rides, Epcot has so many other things to do. There's just so much stuff there. So they also kind of have, I want to call them exhibits, I guess, for lack of a better word. So I had mentioned the Seas with Nemo and Friends, and where you get off your Clammobile is kind of like going to an aquarium. They have so many exhibits you can look at there. They have a manatee exhibit, which is my personal favorite, and they have somebody staffed there. You can go up and see the manatees, and you can talk to them and ask them about the manatees and their life and their diet and how are you rehabilitating them, or Are they going to be released into the wild? Because that's always the goal. A lot of times they'll have a manatee that was hit by a boat propeller and one of their, like their tail was damaged or something to that effect. It's really fun to watch them eat because they eat heads of romaine lettuce and that's it. So they just kind of float along and they look so docile, and it's like, how can they be so big when they just eat romaine lettuce? Obviously it's my favorite. I absolutely love it. So I really recommend checking that out. They have dolphins you can see. They're always swimming really, really fast. So there's always a lot of kids lined up at the window to try and catch them as they're swimming laps. Seahorses, they just have so many things. So I really recommend that. And in that same building, they have Turtle Talk with Crush, which is, I guess you could call it interactive. That's for smaller children. I should say it's geared towards smaller children. You go in and the kids sit on the floor and they're in front of this big screen, and it looks like Crush is in like the aquarium, and he's talking to them. He actually will say, oh, you kid over there wearing the orange shirt or whatever. And he actually talks and interacts with the kids. So it's really fun for them. So again, no height requirement obviously on that one. So now they have quite a few shows at Epcot as well. So they have some not live shows. And when I say not live shows, I mean kind of like films that you're watching. So the ones that are really geared toward children are The Circle of Life, an environmental fable, which is with characters from The Lion King, and that is in the same building as Soarin' and Livin' with the Land. And then they have Disney and Pixar Short Film Festival 4D. So the kids are wearing 3D glasses, and I mean, I don't know how many Ds we can get these days. Like, so there's 3D and 4D, which I've not done this, but they must have, like, I don't know if they have like a spray of water or a scent or fog or something to that effect. But I feel like pretty soon we're gonna have like 5 and 6D. I don't know. So like I said, I've not done that, but the explanation or the description that they have on the Disney website is experience popular Disney and Pixar short films like never before in 4D for the first time ever. So any height, all ages, and that's in the Future World section of Disney World. So beyond that, the other not live, I guess you could say, films that they have, or shows that they have, are the American Adventure, which is in the American Adventure Pavilion, Impressions de France, O Canada, and Reflections of China. Now, of these, I have done the American Adventure and O Canada. Little children can do all of these. You're like in a theater setting for most of them. O Canada, you're not, you're standing. But I don't know that it would hold their interest. I think it would be kind of boring for them. The American Adventure is really interesting, I think, if your child, I would say, is at least maybe 10 or so. I think it would be interesting. And then O Canada was cool, but I kind of got a little bit motion sick on that one. You are standing the entire time. You're in a 360 degree, I think it's like circle vision, 360 degree room where the screen is actually all around you. And they just have wooden railings that you kind of lean up against. And I think it's Martin Short that's in the video and kind of talking about the history and landscape of Canada. So it is cool, but with the video all the way around you, kind of got me a little nauseous. So now the live shows. They have some phenomenal live shows. And when I say shows, that kind of implies, or I think it sounds like it's a lot longer, and they're not, they're a lot shorter. But they're really, really good. So they have American Music Machine and British Revolution. Those are bands, and they play for short amounts of time, maybe like 20 minutes or something like that. I'll see if I can find that again and have it written in the appropriate location. You know, American Music Machine would be in the on stage in the American Adventure Pavilion, and then the British Revolution is in the back. They have a little stage in the back of the UK. Okay. Jammitors, like janitors, but Jammitors. So they're this group of guys that are dressed like janitors, and then they are playing by, it's like a percussion kind of thing, and they're playing like their garbage cans and stuff. It's really cool. I saw it last time I was there for the first time, and I really recommend it. I think it would be fun for a small kid. I mean, it's just outside, so they'll say, okay, it's in this area, and they will be playing at the following times. You just have to check the times guides when you enter the parks, but that's very cool. The Jeweled Dragon Acrobats is another one, and that's in China. If it's nice, it's outside in front of the Chinese pavilion. If it is raining, they will be inside. Really recommend that. I think it would be very interesting for small kids. Phenomenal, phenomenal Chinese acrobats. That is for all ages, will blow your mind. So the Mariachi Cobre, Mexican band, Matboukha Groove is a band in Morocco. I think kind of self-explanatory if your kid would like that kind of thing. I don't ever stop and watch those. That's just not kind of my style, so I just kind of see them in passing, but very, very good. All of them are very well done. The Matsuriza, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, Japanese drummers. That is very good. I really recommend that. Obviously, it's in Japan, and they have these women that come out onto, they have, I think it's called a pagoda, a Japanese pagoda. They come out and then they drum on that, and they're on the second floor, so you can see, you have a great view. You don't really have to worry about getting up front to see. Very, very cool. So I think that would really hold the interest of small kids as well. So then they have Serveur, okay, how do you say this? Serveur Amusant. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right. That's in French. That's in France. It's a French acrobat and entertainer. That's really cool. I saw that for the first time just in the last couple of years. And it's just a fun show. It's outside in front of the France pavilion, and it's one of those things where he is stacking the chairs all precariously and then climbing to the top and like standing on one hand. Very cool. So I think little kids would find that very entertaining. Voices of Liberty. This one, I don't know. It's very impressive. They are women dressed in traditional New England style clothing, and they are singing in the American Adventure Pavilion. Very good. Actually, last time I think there were men in there too. I've seen them a couple of times. I feel like sometimes I've seen them inside and sometimes I've seen them outside. But they're very good. I don't know that would really be interesting for a small child though. But if your kid kind of needs a nap and you want to just pull over and they're singing outside in the covered shady area, I think that would be good. You know, you can watch them and hold your kid while they sleep. Then they have Weissenbaum, Boom, I think it's probably Baum, a German band, and Sergio, the Italian entertainer. So kind of like the French entertainer, he's in front of the Italian pavilion, and there's juggling, and totally for kids, would totally keep little kids entertained. So in terms of character meet and greets, there are a lot. So there is the Future World section right when you enter from the front entrance of Epcot, and then the World Showcase area, which is where you would enter from the boardwalk area, or if you're coming from Hollywood Studios. So the meet and greets, they have, and they most of them, they keep in their traditional location. So for example, if you are doing a meet Anna and Elsa, that's at the Royal Sommerhus, I think is how you pronounce it, in the Norway section. Meet a Wonderland friend in the UK. So that is Alice or the Mad Hatter or the White Rabbit. Characters from Alice in Wonderland. Mary Poppins is also in the UK. Meet Belle in France. Meet Donald Duck in Mexico. Meet Mulan in China. Meet Princess Jasmine in Morocco. Meet Snow White in Germany. And then they have Meet Disney Pals at a couple of other locations. So that's Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Goofy, Donald Duck, Daisy. So these, they have times. There's a spot where you can, where they typically come out, and then there'll be a time. They'll say, oh, the next appearance is at this time, and they'll be on a sign so that you can wait there in advance. Or like the Anna and Elsa, I would really recommend. I would say you need a fast pass if you want to see Anna and Elsa. But yeah, it's some people that are kind of nostalgic Disney goers are kind of sad that they don't just randomly walk around the parks like they used to. But at the same time, this is a lot more organized, obviously, and it allows you to plan your day out a little bit better as far as if you really want to get this character. You know, some people are really into certain characters and they want to just get those. So for example, you know, if you have like a 5-year-old girl, you're probably going to want to get Anna or Elsa, whereas they probably will not care about Donald Duck, I would guess. I don't know. But things like that. So I think Epcot absolutely is for children. It is for adults as well. Oh, there's something else I wanted to mention. Okay, so they also have some other interactive exhibits for children. They can in play areas. They have the Advanced Training Lab, the ImageWorks What If Labs, Innoventions. There's just a bunch of stuff like that as well. And then something else I wanted to mention is that they have the KidCot Fun Stops. So I want to pull up the actual description. They're pretty cool. It's a stop in every single country around the World Showcase for children. It says collect stamps and create a personalized souvenir at any or all 11 of these World Showcase craft stations. So it's a little craft station in each of the countries where you can go, and there are people from those countries that they can write something in their native language for your kids, and they're just very cool. So this is geared toward preschoolers and small children. So like you can see, there are a lot of things for small children, and I absolutely do not think you should just write it off and say, oh, Epcot is not for kids, we shouldn't visit. So I hope you found this helpful, and thanks for watching. Bye, guys.